All praises to the Most High, and unto his Son belongs power, riches, wisdom, strength, honor, glory, and blessing. Hallelujah. Valentine's Day has ancient pagan roots that trace all the way back to Mesopotamia, Babylon, Greece, and Rome. Today, we will examine these ancient ties.
In his 1916 work, Myths and Legends of Babylonia and Assyria, Spence delves into the relationship between Ishtar and Tammuz, which ultimately leads to Venus and Cupid. According to Spence in his work from 1916 on page 123, Ishtar was undoubtedly a goddess of Semitic origin and symbolized the fertility of the earth. She was the Great Mother who fostered all vegetation and agriculture. It is probable that her cult originated at Erech, and in the course of centuries and under many nominal changes, dispersed itself one religious belief in Babylonia and Assyria. According to Spence, as Ashtaroth or Astarte, she was known to Canaanites, Phoenicians, and Greeks, and there is some likelihood that the cult of Aphrodite had also its beginnings in that of Ishtar. Astrologically, she was identified with the planet Venus, page 124.
I wanted to point out that these planetary bodies are associated with these so-called deities. For example, Ishtar, as you see, is associated with the planet Venus. Right? Also want to point out her connection to Rome and Greece. The Roman and Grecian gods are associated with the heavenly bodies, the constellations, the planetary bodies. And the so-called god Venus is associated with the planet Venus. According to Spence, Ishtar is also related to the planet Venus, as we can see. I wanted to point out a few things about this map here. As you see, look at the land masses where Africa is situated, Asia is situated, as well as Europe. You can see by where the Tower of Babel is, which is generally the same region that we're talking about. These are the same deities that they worshipped, these mystery religions, and the people, as you can see, they can travel from Babel, also known as Babylon, also known as Erech. They travel from that region to Africa, to Asia, and to Europe. And as they travel, they take their beliefs with them.
Ishtar has from an early period been associated with Tammuz as his consort, as she has indeed with Merodach and Assur and other deities. She has been identified with Dakana, wife of Ea, and is therefore mother of Tammuz as well as his consort. This dual relationship may account for that which appears in later myths among the Greeks, where Smyrna, mother of Adonis, is also his sister.
So far, we can associate the pagan deities Ishtar and Tammuz with Venus and Cupid. Right? So we can show how Babylon has had a significant influence on the nearby continents and countries such as Egypt, Rome, and Greece.
A 2017 article from History.com indicated that Lupercalia was an ancient pagan festival held each year in Rome on February 15th. Although Valentine's Day shares its name with a martyred Christian saint, some historians believe the holiday is actually an offshoot of Lupercalia. Unlike Valentine's Day, however, Lupercalia was a bloody, violent, and sexually charged celebration awash with animal sacrifice, random matchmaking, and coupling in the hopes of warding off evil spirits and infertility. In ancient Rome, feasting began after the ritual sacrifice. When the Feast of Lupercal was over, the Luperci cut strips, also called thongs or februa, of goat hide from the newly sacrificed goats. They then ran naked, or nearly naked, around Palatine, whipping any woman within striking distance with the thongs. During Lupercalia, the men randomly chose a woman's name from a jar to be coupled with them for the duration of the festival. Often, the couple stayed together until the following year's festival. Many fell in love and married. Over time, nakedness during Lupercalia lost popularity. The festival became more chaste, if still undignified, and women were whipped on their hands by fully clothed men. Searle in her 2017 article states that, in 496, Pope Gelasius declared 14 February as the feast of St. Valentine. However, there was already a pagan festival on this date. Youths then made whips from the skins and struck young women with them, as it was believed this would make them fertile. It is probably that the custom of choosing a partner on St. Valentine's Day is the chance link with the Roman Lupercalia festival in mid-February, says Jasper. The Lupercalia festival was celebrated over 3 days in mid-February, overlapping with Valentine's Day.
Did the Pope Gelasius purposefully enact Valentine's Day to coincide with the Lupercalia? This would not be the first time that the Roman authority did this. Prior, Constantine did the same thing with Christmas and Saturnalia. He did this to appease his pagan masses, and what I lay before you is that the Pope Gelasius did the same thing. This next clip comes from a YouTube channel called End Times Production, in a video entitled The Real History of Valentine's Day You Never Learned in School.
Most people are completely unaware of this link between human sacrifice and Valentine's Day. Let's continue. Pausanias, an ancient Greek geographer and historian, tells us that, quote, a child was sacrificed, his blood sprinkled upon the altar, and his entrails tasted sacramentally by the priest. Thereupon, say the legends, he who had tasted the entrails was transformed into a werewolf for a period of 9 years, end quote.
Continuing with our topic of Lupercalia, we have one more character.
Faunus is also associated with Lupercalia. Note the similarities between it and Pan. Do these two remind you of anyone?
Yes, this character, Enkidu, goes all the way back to Mesopotamia. He's associated with Gilgamesh. Notice his lower half, the cloven hooves, the furry legs, the horns. Even the Germans have a rendition of this character that shows up around Christmas time. I wanted to point out something interesting that Spence said earlier.
Notice he identified Ishtar as Ashtaroth or Astarte. He also connected this entity to the Phoenicians and Canaanites.
Yes, the same Canaanites that the Most High instructed not to associate with, not to go a-whoring after, not to look to their false mighty ones for anything, not to learn anything about them, not to do any sacrifices. Yes, the same entities.
Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works. But thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images.
Thou shalt have none other gods before me.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
Master, which is the great commandment in the law. Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.